Many years ago when I used to work out in a commercial gym, there would be a lot of guys who were also construction workers, and they would work all day, manual labor, working 7, 8 hours a day. And then they would still, at the end of the day, after their shift, would go to the gym and work out. And these guys were very well developed, basically jacked and dieseled. And I always thought, are these guys nuts? They're 7 or 8 hours a day. They're physically active, lifting, loading, pushing, pulling as their job. And then they're going to go to the gym later at night and lift more weights. But these guys were in shape and they always look good. So I always wondered, how could that be? Won't they be overtraining? Won't they burn out? So fast forward 24 years of working as a physical therapist and a trainer, of dealing or working with people dealing with or experiencing pain, people that want to be more fit, want to be stronger, more lean, look better, feel better. And one thing I noticed is the people that have more sedentary lifestyles, office workers sitting at a desk behind a computer screen, those type of things, especially in 2020 during the pandemic, where a lot of people are working from home and find themselves a lot more sedentary. And even though they make an extra effort to exercise consistently throughout the week, let's say they're doing it 3 times a week, or they're getting 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise plus lifting weights, which is the generally recommended minimum. But yet most or the majority of the week physically they're sedentary. These are the individuals I see as a therapist who tend to hurt themselves, not just with training. They tend to come up with the aches and pains that come out of nowhere. They come to me with a specific symptom, and I ask them, when did this start? How did it start? Typical questions. And they always say, I don't really know. It just started a week ago, a month ago, last year, whatever, and it just comes and goes. And I don't know what caused it. So what I found as I dig deeper into their history is that they're more sedentary like everybody else. But they wasn't like they weren't exercising or inactive. They would have a hobby of a sports that they would play on the weekend, or something sporadic, or something just not as consistent, or even if they were consistent, like going to the gym. Because of what they do majority of the week, that would affect their how their body is able to adapt to load or stress. So put it this way: if most of the times during a week you're working, sitting at your desk in front of the computer, most of your day, let's say, then you go work out, and you're doing obviously a lot more than what you do during the day. Let's say you go for an hour average, and then you go home, go to sleep, and you repeat. Okay, for a 40-hour work week, let's just say. So if you're working out 3 times a week, that's only 3 short hours compared to the hundreds of hours throughout the week, waking hours that you're not really doing much physically, right? Mentally, you're doing a lot, because that's what we do, and then we get exhausted mentally, and that trickles down physically. We feel tired, but reality is our mind is tired, but our body is getting lazy, and it's actually not fulfilling its potential of what it can do physically. So what I've been finding are the people who are more physically active. Now, I'm not saying you have to work out for 8 hours a day. No, I'm talking about low intensity, prolonged, steady state type of activities. To give you an idea, like housekeepers, manual laborers of sorts that do this throughout the whole day. That's why I give the example of construction workers, okay? Because that's all they do is physical labor. Because I theorize or hypothesize that perhaps it's because their body has been trained or conditioned to be able to handle the stresses of physical activity. And over time, it just becomes normal for them, where the average person would probably get exhausted trying to do their job because they're just not used to it or haven't adapted yet. So perhaps if we start, as a society, start investigating or exploring the possibility of low level or low intensity activities just disperse throughout our day, what effect that could have as far as not just our health and our mental health, physical health and mental health, but what can that do for us who tend to get these little aches and pains or hurt ourselves in the gym or whatever it may be as far as these physical symptoms. Maybe we're just not active enough. Maybe we're not like our ancestors who didn't have technology as we do today and had to be more active, didn't have cars, let's say, and had to ride their bikes or walk to school or work. Maybe that's the downfall of our modern technology, modern society, of all our comforts, is that we've forgotten how to be uncomfortable and we avoid it like a plague. So we don't realize, what does that have to do with our physical symptoms that we complain of? Or I'll even go further, what does that have to do with our disease or pathological processes? When we have chronic diseases, which is a very common thing, heart disease, cancer, all those diagnoses that just come with old age or just come out of nowhere, put aside our genetic tendencies. Just if we're not stimulating our body, if we're not stimulating our cells to adapt to load or stress, what effect does that have when we become infected with a microbe, or we catch a cold, or we get sick, right? Where's our resiliency? Where's our pliability? How can we bounce back if we haven't really trained ourselves? Because we think, oh, I just go to a doctor, take a pill, I'll be okay, or I'll have surgery, I'll be okay. But what if it doesn't really take much? What if you just did a little bit more activity, physical activity each day? And over time, what effect can that build up to? And what effect will that have on our health? So you always hear about people recommend getting 10,000 steps a day, and they have their Apple Watches, their Fitbits, and I'm all for that. As long as you get more physical activity that doesn't kill you or make you feel worse or make you suffer or give you pain, actually, it can only force your body to adapt to more stress or load. So that 10,000 steps a day is a bare minimum, but I generally like to go above that. I recommend 12 to 15,000 steps a day. Now you're probably thinking, Michael, that's crazy. When are you going to have time to do that? It's easy for me, it's easy for you, Michael, because you work at home, you work from home in a garage gym, so you can work out 24 hours a day. Well, yeah, I can, and I do, because I created that situation, but you don't have to be me. You can see or experiment what you need to do in your specific situation, and you'd be surprised how much time you waste doing physically nothing, okay? And where you could have been moving. Now, I'm not saying you just have to walk. Steps could be translated into, sure, you could walk around your office, you get a 5-minute break. You could walk around your house, you could walk in place. You could make it useful, do some house cleaning, do some office cleaning, park further in the parking lot when you go to the store, go up and down the stairs, anything that gets you physically moving. Because remember, the second you move, you're expending calories, you're expending energy. So you're balancing out the equation of energy in and energy out. So you'd be surprised at how much something so little means so much over the long term. So, quick case study example. I have a client who I've been seeing for a few years. He went from being a physical therapy client to a long-term treat and train program client, where now it's more for training for health. And he has some chronic issues. That's why thus he was seeing me in the beginning, and not just seeing an ordinary, regular trainer, somebody with a background in rehab, physical therapy. So every once in a while, when he's under a lot of stress and we'd work out, he'd get a little tweak here and there, his back, his neck, his shoulder, or whatever. And it would take him a few days to a week or so to recover from that. And then we'd always have to modify or change his program because of that, obviously. So one of the things I noticed when I suggested to him, this is a remote client, he lives upstate, was to go increase his physical activity, increase your steps, do at least 10,000 steps a day. So he did one whole full week of that. And then what we noticed, and this is also at the same time, he was training 3 times a week with me. What we noticed was his workouts were the best they've ever been in a long time. So that's what came up, the idea for this video is perhaps he trained his body to be able to adapt and tolerate the workouts more than they normally would, because he increased his physical activity throughout the day for a week significantly. So his body was less stressed or tense or stiff or whatever it may be from just being a sack of potatoes, sedentary, sit in front of the computer all day working. So try it out. You know, clean your floors, mop your floors, sweep, vacuum, clean your bathroom, bend down, clean your toilet, clean it again if you've done it already. I don't care. Go out for a walk, 10 minutes, a 10-minute walk after each main meal. That's 30 minutes a day. Do something that you ordinarily wouldn't do, and you don't have to run a marathon or do a marathon. Just do a little bit and build up from it. Just be consistent over time, and I almost guarantee, I'll promise you, you'll feel something different. So try that out, and 12 to 15,000 steps a day. You can do it.